Hello everyone and welcome along to your immediate post-match reaction to Rangers 1, Dundee 1, our first home game of the season. Kyran has gone magnificently well because I've misplaced the microphones, so we're talking straight into the laptop for the audio here, but wanted to come on and as close to the time as possible. We have just come out of Russell Martin's post-match press conference. Kyran, let's start with the game itself. What did you make of the game overall?
It felt very samey to... I can't believe I've just said that. It felt very much like Motherwell. Right from the off, we felt like we were slow on the ball, we weren't moving it, we were very risk-averse. The players didn't want to take any chances and just looked like, I hate to quote Russell Martin here, it looks like there was a lot of tension throughout the team and throughout the players. And Russell Martin has said something in that press conference there which is a bit of a red flag for me, that he needs to learn about teams coming and setting up like this. Now, if he's been watching this team for the past, 6 months since he knew this job was available, then surely you knew this is how teams come and they set up and play at Ibrox, aside from one or two, maybe three other teams. Like, it's frustrating. 4 points dropped from the last 6. It's not a good start whatsoever.
Yeah, apologies if there's a bit of background noise at the moment. I think they're just putting away the moors from the pitch at Ibrox, but I think that should be us now. Kyran, there was so much that Russell Martin said and so much of it that I don't think fans will like to hear. I don't know where to start with his comments on the game, but let's start with his comments. What did you make of the fact that he was talking about there's going to need to be some short-term pain to be able to turn around the mentality within the club, to be able to turn around? You've got new owners, you've got a new senior team, you've got new management team, you've got new players coming in. That's not going to be fixed in the space of 4 weeks, which I tend to agree with.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of fans, in theory, agree with that. But when it comes to the reality of it and it being in practice, as we've seen with Motherwell, as we've seen with today's game, how difficult is that going to be for us, I guess? And how much does it feel to you like almost surrendering the season before it's even begun?
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, to be honest. But what I would say is it's okay saying that and us being in agreement. And I would probably say there is plenty of people in agreement that it will take time and that we need to be a bit patient. But there also has to be signs that it will get better. Now, for me so far, we've had one good home performance against Pilsen, and that's been it competitively. To me, it's very hard to grasp that it's going to improve, and I think it needs to start improving domestically, because I don't know how many times we've said it under I don't know how many managers that this team are quite happy to go out and do it midweek when the lights are shining bright at Ibrox and the European theme tunes are playing around this place. And when it comes to domestically, it seems like a completely different team that we're watching. A lot of people are fed up hearing the same stuff over and over again and watching the same stuff over and over again. Today was a tough watch. I felt that we improved when we went to 10 minutes. 10 minutes. This is like me saying it was Sunday on Thursday again. We improved when we went down to 10 men because the intensity increased. But that intensity has to be there from the first minute, and it just feels that we're so slow the way we knock it around the back and try and build sort of patterns. And yeah, the Dundee today set up very much like Motherwell, where they had two strikers that dropped in on our 6, more or less put a box around Rothwell, stopped them playing and tried to push us to go down the wings. Now, we tried to go down the wings and didn't seem to create a thing, and it is extremely frustrating, but it's where we improve. What signs are there that we're going to improve? I get the whole being patient thing, but talking about it being a new era and new management and new players and new ownership, that's all good and well, but the fans' expectations then go through the roof, and at a club like this where the expectations are already extremely high, it then becomes quite a tough environment. So there has to be signs that get people on board.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and I think that's what I think we need all of that. when we looked at Russell Martin's comments, he spoke about the fact that we struggled against Panathinaikos in some areas. We struggled against Motherwell as well, particularly in the second half. But we learned from that, and we were better on Tuesday night. And then we came up against a team with a very different setup, that low block setup, that today. And he said we'll learn from that and we'll move forward. And he said that we didn't move the ball quickly enough, which is very true. We were constantly saying that during the game.
But see, on that, sorry to jump in, Craig, right? We didn't move the ball quickly enough in the first half, so then you expect that going at half time, he'll well, the phrase is he'll give them a rocket and they'll come back out and they'll move it quick in the second half. We didn't. It's not until we went a goal down and then down to 10 men that we actually started moving the ball with intensity.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and we all know that to beat these teams, you do need to move quickly. You do need to move with pace. We've seen for too many seasons if we sat and watched balls being flung into the box time and again, and them just being nodded away. Didn't really feel. It felt like a wee bit like that today, but it didn't really feel. It felt like we tried to go through the middle, but it was just so condensed, and then we didn't have the players weren't working quite right for that to be able to then achieve the end goal of that. There's questions over whether Cyril Dessers is the number 9 to play in that role. I think the two wide players are absolutely the two players that should be right and left in terms of Gassama and Ant-Man, but it's that focal point. It's that does he have the movement? Does he was dropping in deep, which I think he has been asked to, but Desser's touch is nowhere near good enough to be able to do that, especially when you've got the defensive bank and then the midfield bank are so close together from the opposition that you need to have that amazing first touch to be able to then work it in tight spaces, and that was not the case at all. I think there's so much you can pick out of today's game that was so disappointing. For me, the way we are starting games at the moment is really concerning, because we're not starting with the intent. We're not starting with the let's go at them for the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes with high intensity, high levels of pace, high levels of quality, and try and get that first goal, because we're allowing opposition teams to play into the game. We're allowing opposition teams to find their feet, and then we're just felt like we're plodding away a bit at the moment. But that was really frustrating. And then you looked at throughout that first half, throughout the whole game, really, when the ball was going to John Souttar, he was just slowing the game down all the time, and he would be playing the pass to Jeffy, but instead of just playing the pass to Jeffy, he would take 5 steps towards Jeffy and then play the pass to him. And I just felt there was such a lack of intensity today throughout that game.
So on that, Craig, you make a good point about John Souttar slowing it down. Does that come from the manager? He made comments through the week about how he had to coach John Souttar into this role, about let the player come to you, take a wee bit longer on it. Is this again a wee bit of confusion of what the players should be doing, but what the manager's asking them to do? Like, does that make much sense?
I think a part of it will probably come from the fact that John Souttar's looking ahead. He's got Joe Rothwell surrounded, like you said previously. He's got 2 banks. He's effectively got 11 men in front of him and really tight structure, trying to force us to go wide. We don't really want to go wide in this system, ideally. Not in the way that not when you've got that compact formation from the opposition. You want to move them around a bit and then go wide where there's a space for Gassama. We saw it in the first half where there was a lovely through ball for Gassama, put him in the same position as he was on Tuesday night. I keep saying Wednesday night. On Tuesday night, and instead of going for goal as he did on Tuesday night, he tried to pass it. And I think that was frustrating. But those are the kind of situations that we want to see ourselves in, and we really struggled to get in those situations today. And Russell Martin seemed to suggest it was about the pace of the ball, the pace of how slowly we were moving it. But what did you think of that? And what did you think of, I guess, our struggles to try and find that space and how we get around that in this system?
I think it's just more annoying than anything that the manager of the club, I've already said it, has watched the team last season. Like, it's no different to last season, this season, the past 10 years. Any team coming here who have a lesser ability than Rangers are going to come and set up like that. There's there's nothing strange about it. There's nothing unusual about it. We've sat and watched it as fans for so long that there has to be improvements, and there has to be signs that the manager is learning that this is how we're going to set up, maybe a wee bit differently. But I think one thing that has to be questioned is a stubbornness tactically. Is Russell Martin willing to change things tactically? And that, I mean, like, does he change the shape? Does he change how we go about other teams? Does he change who plays where when it comes to trying to break down a low block? Like, it was very evident from the start that out of possession, Dundee were pretty much 5 at the back, 4 in front, with a striker, or depending where we were in possession, 2 strikers that dropped in and sort of just kept Rothwell completely out of the game. So I can see why fans are frustrated with it, and I can see why people are growing impatient because the amount of money was spent. And
are you growing impatient?
No. I think I'm more frustrated than anything, but I'm always sort of willing to give things a chance and a chance to progress. And I know how it can be in football when it's almost like if you or I were to stick 11 of our mates on that pitch and play against an experienced team around about the same level, but they had all played together for years, then it would be very tough. Now, that's not me making excuses, because I didn't recognise a single Dundee player on the squad sheet when we get the teams out before the game, and they've made a lot of signings. They've got a new manager, a lot of things happening there, pretty much like Motherwell last week. There shouldn't be excuses because of how many changes there is here. There's changes at every club. We've got to be better at this. It's Glasgow Rangers. It's not Motherwell, and it's not Dundee. Like, we've got to be competing on all fronts, and where we are 2 games into the season is very disappointing. But like, clear heads on, there is still a lot to play for. There's a long way to go. Look back to when Gerrard left and Gio came in, we were 13 points ahead, and that swung back the way. So that sounds very much like we're clutching at straws in the middle of August, which sounds awful. But there is a long way to go. Yeah, there is a long way to go. So, yeah, clearer heads will prevail. But at the moment, we're just a wee bit emotional, I think.
We'll go into some of the key points of the game, I think, today, but how concerning is it that, given that we have postponed, I guess we're assuming we're going to beat Victoria Pilsen over on aggregate.
He should get his shot if he doesn't get through that one.
And then, so assuming we get through the playoff round of the Champions League qualifiers, we've already said to the league that we want to postpone the St Mirren game. Celtic are not postponing their game prior to their playoff round. We then go into the Old Firm game, potentially 7 points behind after 3 games. Well, after 2 games for us, 3 games for them. Nightmare scenario, you lose the Old Firm game, you're 10 points behind, having played 3 games in the season. How concerning is that from a mentality perspective? How concerning is that from a approach to the season, excitement for the season ahead? How do you feel about
that? The worst part about that for me is that we're going through a lot of changes. Obviously, we are, and I do definitely feel that the team will find their feet eventually. Right? I'm trying to be positive about this. It will click eventually. They'll learn from their mistakes. At least I hope they'll learn from their mistakes that give us something to cling on to. And we're on the basis that Celtic are going to get maximum points up until that game. So what is annoying and what we keep saying is that the frustrating thing season on season is they've never had to be better than us. It's just that
we keep shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. It's almost like we've always just been that wee bit worse than them. And that's not sour grapes, and that's not me saying that they're a poor team. By all means, they've deserved everything they've won, but they look very fragile, and we're not going to take full sort of onus on that. Like, there's loads of infighting between fans and manager and boardroom across there, not signing players, and we've got a real opportunity to go and put the pressure on them, but it just doesn't look like we're doing that. And I think that's the most frustrating thing out of everything, that we're not putting the pressure on them yet when they're in a stage of vulnerability, it feels. But again, it feels like the same old thing that we're saying over and over again, that when things are looking negative over there, like who we're up against for the league, we don't do anything about it. So for me, we need something to cling on to here that we're going to improve and we're going to see signs. Pilsen through the week, yeah, okay, that's a nice sign, but that's a team that's come out and played against us.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that here, and Russell Martin has to realise that. He has to find out how you work against that. And I know we chime back to Gerrard quite often, but Steven Gerrard didn't do anything here until he figured out how to break down that low block. And I really hope that Russell Martin can do that too.
Right, let's touch on some of the points from today's game, I guess, since we have to in a live match reaction. The points I wanted to touch on are the first half performance overall, the Dundee goal, red card, and then the chaotic last 7 or 8 minutes. So let's start with first half. Why we didn't create anything, didn't really feel we weren't moving the ball quickly, we were struggling against that low block. Why was there such a drop off from Tuesday night? Was it purely because of Dundee's setup? Was it because we weren't doing what Russell Martin was asking of us, of our players? Was it because actually we just played badly? What was a combination of all of that? What do you make of it?
I think it was Dundee's structure. I don't think we were prepared correctly for that, and even at that, there's no excuse not to come out and play with an intensity in front of 50,000 fans here. Like, surely that's why players have come here to play. Like, it seemed lethargic and risk averse that we didn't want to go about it that way. And like I said at the top of the show, it's all right here when it's under the bright lights and like there's a different feel about it. I think as a fan as well, there's a different feel from domestic to European, but that can't be the same with the players. It's got to be that you've just got to, I don't know, there's just got to be a mentality shift. I know Russell Martin says that that's not the case, but it does feel like there is a mentality issue there, that we can come and turn up on a Thursday night and start like a house on fire, whereas Dundee at home at Ibrox, you're expected the game to be won by half time, and it's not. They should have been ahead by half time.
Yeah. How worrying was it actually, the lack of chances we created ourselves? That was what stuck out to me more than anything, to be honest.
Not just here, not just today. Worrying that we've hardly created that. Not hardly created a chance, not just that. I've not seen anything in the final third. I can see what he wants to do back to middle, but I've not seen any patterns of play in the final third or anything that says that, right, okay, they've been working on this in training and this is how they're going to break teams down. It's just, I see everything just looks the exact same as that we've seen in previous regimes, that either ball into the striker's feet or we work down to a sort of crossing position and throw in a hopeless ball. It felt like that towards the end of the game today, but I just do not see anything in the final third that says, right, okay, there's a bit of a style and a structure there that's going to break teams down, especially low blocks. That's a worrying thing.
Yeah, I think that's hugely worrying. I wasn't so worried about us defensively, to be honest, apart from set pieces. Set pieces were the one area that I was worried about. Dundee hit the post in the first half. They forced Jack Butland into an amazing save that saw the ball hit the post.
Yep.
Again. I felt like we got away with at least one there, if not two. And then second half, a needless free kick given away around the edge of the box. John Suter had tried one of those central passes, which was cut out. Joe Rothwell was forced into a bit of I don't know how to describe it.
Professional foul.
Yeah, it's kind of that way, but it was also a bit stupid in the kind of area that he did it in.
Yeah.
But foul, ball's chipped to the back post. Jeff Day's got 3 of the tallest guys in the league that he's trying to mark. I don't know, there's got to be some communication that's better there. But we looked at 6s and 7s defending set pieces throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
And there was a nervousness and anxiousness around the stadium whenever Dundee got a set piece. Why do you think that is, and why? And when it came to the goal, I mean, the Dundee player was in for his post-match press conference after the game there, and he said it's the best goal he's ever scored. I don't know how many goals he has scored, but it's a big looping header into the corner. What did you make of that from our perspective?
I thought it was a good finish from the boy, but the most frustrating thing is when that boy's queuing up the free kick, you can tell by his body shape and the shape of his run-up that that's going to be flighted to the back post almost, if that's what you want to call that area. Now, why we've left 3 of their players unmarked with only Shefty between them and our next player is completely beyond me. It begs belief what we do in terms of analysis and in terms of how we set up for these sort of things. Like, what are we doing in training? So not only to lose the first header, but then to lose the second after we watched it happen numerous times in the first half. Russell Martin spoke during the week about Matt Gill showing Ant-Man stuff at half-time on the screen and a bit of analysis. Why wasn't that happening today in terms of their set pieces? We were half man, half Sono. It's again another one of these things where we hope to see signs that it's improving in the games to come, that we don't see a repeat of today where, well, Dundee have probably set up and they've worked on this all week that, right, okay, we're going to be backs against the wall for the majority of the game, but any set pieces we've got to make the most of. I would not be surprised if the vast majority of their training and their structure throughout the week was set pieces.
Yeah, they did say that they worked on that massively, and that it's going to be a key part of their game going forward this season. It's where a lot of teams have found success against us in the past, and worryingly, it seems to be a weakness that we've been able to identify as fans real early on. 1-0 down, you're thinking, right, still got half an hour of the game, 35 minutes of the game left, plenty of time for as long as we get a goal. I think I said to you by 70 minutes, get a goal by 70 minutes. And then as soon as I said that, John Suter lost the ball, Dundee were running through on goal. I think Jigga's quite unlucky in a way, but it gets in that situation you can't get that close to the striker as they're running through. You need to put that distance and try and match him for pace and then put a bit of pressure as he gets closer to the box.
And he is quick. He's an athletic defender. He's quick, but I do get what you mean. He's got too close to him. Look from our angle like he's clipped his heels and he's conceded it right away and straight off the pitch. Now, don't know if anyone can confirm in the comments a bit of sort of confusion to what game is he suspended for.
So I think because understanding in the press room, I guess, was that straight red card means you're banned for 2 games, which would mean that he would be banned for Hour next week in the League Cup, but then also the Celtic game because the St Mirren game would be cancelled. So it's a huge loss for us already if that is the case. We'll wait for that to be confirmed. But I think he was sold down the river to an extent by his central defensive partner, and I don't think John Suter was getting a lot of stick from the stands today. It's hard to say it wasn't deserved.
He doesn't look like a player that's playing for a contract or the money which he's probably after. He played well midweek, but I think that's been his only performance this pre-season that you could probably give him pass marks for. For me, I'd be looking for a replacement at left centre back. I know I've said that numerous times. I do like Suter. I think he is more suited to a siege defence as opposed to one that has to play out from the back. It just feels like we're not really got the balance. I think they're a decent enough pairing, but Suter has got that brain fart every single game. And that's probably what is the difference between him being an okay player and a good player. For us, I think you need to be better. I think you need to be solid at the back. At Rangers, if you're going to win titles, and we need a good partnership. To have Giga missing for an important game is colossal because at the moment he's sort of the one that's been holding that defence together. A very poor defence at that, so immensely frustrating and something that could have been ultimately avoided. Yeah, absolutely could have been. Once he's sent off, you're then thinking, well, we've barely created anything with 11 men, so there's no chance we'll create anything with 10 men. Half an hour of the game to go, but there wasn't really any belief in the stands that we were going to get anything. Russell Martin was ringing the changes from the bench. I think they did help a little bit, and we did. Our mentality seemed to switch as a team, which we seemed to go for it. And I was like, could have done that with 11 men and we probably wouldn't be in this situation, but we seemed to go for it and we seemed to pile on the pressure and we continued to dominate the ball, we continued to dominate the play. Again, creativity in the final third was severely lacking, but what did you make of that switch and how we were playing at that stage, and did you believe in any point in that last half hour that not
not that we were going to get the win, but even getting something from the game?
It felt like something was coming because they sort of retreated, didn't they? Almost just camped inside their 18-yard box, and you knew something had to give at some point. It's no wonder that it felt someone like Gassama, who seems to be the only bright spot that we've got at the moment. I felt like Oliver Antman played a wee bit within himself today. Like maybe he wasn't expecting it to be like this year, because this is obviously his first experience of being behind as a Rangers player, especially at home, which is quite an unfamiliar feeling to a lot of them, or well, the ones that weren't here towards the end of last season. So it's, again, very, very frustrating, and I think it's something that Russell Martin has to take on board, that we need to start games like that. We need to go hell for leather and kill teams in the first half. We see other teams do that and wonder why we don't or we can't. It's something that this team really needs to improve on, and they need to give us a spark and give us that aggressive intensity where you're just sort of a bit relentless and you're forcing teams back that far. Like, yeah, it's annoying that it took for us to go a goal down and down to 10 men before we actually started playing. It's a sign of a poor team, actually.
Yeah, and we finally managed to get our chance to equalise through a penalty. I thought Gassama did really well to get that. It looked like he was sprinting past a few players and then slowed down to kind of draw in the foul. James Tavernier steps up, and it's he absolutely whipped that into the bottom corner. It was a really good penalty under pressure from James Tavernier. 2 goals in 2 games for James Tavernier, which I don't know how to take that at this moment in time, but. 1 each, and to us, we had no idea how long was left in terms of stoppage time. And then it looks like we win it. It looks like we win it with through Cyril Dessers.
God.
And everyone in the stands goes wild, thinking we have won it. And then you remember it's Cyril Dessers, and then there's a VAR check for offside. And ultimately, it is offside. We've not seen how close or how big a gap there is in terms of the offside side of things, but ultimately is offside. Almost felt like we got out of jail, and then it's just
it's ripped from under
us. How? I don't think we deserve to win today.
No, not at all. I think Dundee probably deserve to win, considering they hit the post twice in the first half. But I think there's a bigger conversation around Cyril Dessers. I've said it for a long time. He's probably the one that epitomises when the sun's shining and everything's brilliant here and everything's going well. He'll happily score goals. And when it comes to games like this today, he was non-existent today. His movement was poor. He pinned himself at the centre-back, who seemed to have a good time with the physical battle. And then when it came to the key moment, he's offside. And that's classic Cyril Dessers. One guy I'll give plaudits to there is probably Danilo, and it's something that we've been saying for a while. Danilo can't play up front himself, right? I think that experiment's been done, but he plays well as a support striker, and I thought it was a very nice ball from Danilo to get Dessers in behind. Like quick thinking. One of Danilo's strengths is his link-up play. We've seen that, how well him and Igaman played last season in that purple patch around about Christmas, but it's the same old story again. It didn't even have to be offside. I think that's the frustrating thing. Stay in line and then knock the ball in.
He doesn't have that awareness, does he? You think after he's caught on an offside probably an average of 3 or 4 times a game, isn't he? So you think after that length of time that there should be an understanding of, I'll just have a wee look and see where I am. Yeah. And it doesn't seem like that's happened at any point.
Yeah, and that's another thing which, if we want to do something this season, and if it has to be that one striker goes for one to come in, one of them has to be moved on. The priority between now and the end of this window is move one of them out and bring another in. It looks like we don't want to be left with 4. We've had that discussion in the media room there.
You almost need to take that risk, though, that you are left with 4. If there's not someone going out the door anytime soon, no one can be looking at what we see on the pitch, what we've seen on the pitch for the last five games we played now, since we came back to competitive action. No one can be looking at that pitch and going, you know what, we've got someone there that can fire us to a league title, or we've got someone there that can fire us into the Champions League. We just don't.
Yeah.
And we've seen from seasons before that we don't have that. We've seen from these 5 games alone that we don't have that. So we're not in the financial situation that the club has been in recent years.
Yeah.
We're in a much more stable, a much more forward thinking financial situation that you're just like, take the risk.
I know.
Take the risk on an extra striker for the first 6 months, well, even 6 months, 4 months of the season, and take it from there, because it'll be the difference.
Yeah.
And on days like today, it'll be the difference between being in the league and out the league, and it's essential we get a new striker in.
Yeah, you look at the last team that won the league here. We had Defoe, Morelos, Etten, and Roof.
Yeah.
4 good strikers. Today, I'm looking at Dessers and I'm thinking, right, I've got no confidence in Danilo coming off the bench and changing that game and turning things round. Done okay when he came on and supported, but it's just not going to win your league. I'm sorry, but what we've got just now just won't do.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I was going to touch on Kyran Dowell and the fans' reaction to him, and then Russell Martin's subsequent comments. Russell Martin said he didn't understand the fans' reaction to Kyran Dowell so far. He said everyone's been given a team a clean slate, and Kyran Dowell is trains so hard and gets it from. I don't know. Sorry, I've been completely sidetracked by someone talking to you off camera. He said that basically Kyran Dowell really trains so hard, and he's done well for us playing out of position in the first 3 games, and now he's come in today playing in position and did much better. But we'll talk about that on tomorrow night's podcast. Make sure you join us then. Final question: the fans with Russell Martin. Where do you think the patience level sits at this moment in time?
The end of August in the Old Firm game. I think there's probably fans made up their mind that they're going to see where we are after that game before the majority start turning. It's amazing that we're talking about this at this point in time, that Russell Martin's already under pressure, but there already was a pressure on him, considering that people have had the knives out because they didn't fancy him as their manager in the first place, and they're not willing to give him a chance. So I think people are looking ahead to that Old Firm game already, considering we've already dropped 4 points. It's not very good at the moment, but I'm hoping things can improve.
Yeah, definitely right. We're over the half-hour mark. It's normally only 20 minutes, but on days like today, sometimes you need to get a little bit more off our chest. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you have subscribed, excellent. If you've not subscribed, make sure you go click that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. It means you won't miss out on any of the content, and it helps us out massively. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Till next time.